See a lot of Russian flags in here as well. You got a lot of fans. Is there anything you want to say to them? I mean, dominant performance tonight.
Спасибо большое за поддержку.
We love it. They've come out to support you. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the incredible Vladimir Morozov.
So then, after Vladimir Morozov lowers a World Cup colour once again, we still find ourselves with more action to come. The women's 100-metre breaststroke is next, where our first chance tonight to see Brie Larson in action, the American, who's looking to plot the path to the Olympics, having missed out on Rio in 2016. And it's going to be an interesting slot for her here, because in terms of timings, I saw that she picked up a 106 in the US Nationals earlier this month. If she swims that here, she's going to win by a country mile.
Yeah, speaking to some of the coaches on poolside, that is her target, is to go 1 minute and 6. Obviously, we spoke a little bit early in the programme about a lot of these swimmers starting to turn their attention towards Olympic qualification next year. Obviously, America being the dominant force in world swimming, very, very difficult to qualify for that US Olympic team. Brie Larson has got that firmly in her sights, and she knows that she's got to be going 106 at this stage to give herself a chance to qualify for the Olympics next year.
Worth pointing out, though, that the World Cup record holder is in this contest as well, the Jamaican Alia Atkinson. So we know Alia Atkinson is capable of a sub-106 time.
Absolutely, she's a real favourite of the circuit as well. She always comes to Singapore. She is perhaps a slightly stronger swimmer in the short course 25-metre events setup because of her pure raw power. She's a very explosive athlete. In the 25-metre pool, she's exceptional. She's great. She was great last year when the World Cup was in the 25-metre pool in Singapore, but she's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this race, no doubt. As is Simonova, who we've seen race tonight and we saw in the breaststroke yesterday.
Feels like Simonova. She may as well just stay in the pool. There's no point in getting out. Every time you look down at one of these women's races, she's lining up.
She mentioned it last night in one of her interviews about all the 200 events that she does. She clearly likes to work hard, and she certainly doesn't shy away from a difficult racing programme, that's for sure.
Well, Simonova, I mean, who am I to doubt her? Has she got the power from 3 to get involved, or is this going to turn into a 100-metre breaststroke shootout between Larson of the USA in 4 and Atkinson of Jamaica in 5? It's Jackson, New Zealand in 1. Paul Patako of Thailand in 2. Simonova, Russia 3. Larson, USA 4. Jamaica's Atkinson in 5. Singaporean Susai in 6. Su Ran of China in 7. And Chinese Taipei Sai Hao Yu in 8. So let's see if lanes 4 and 5 do dominate. What an explosive start. He mentioned it, Chris, by Alia Atkinson, and she's up above the water first.
Absolutely, pure power. She's going out very fast. What we'll probably find is that other swimmers starting to come back at her a little bit on the second 50. Alia Atkinson is known for her front end speed. Simonova in particular, even though she has had a really grueling schedule this evening, she will be very strong on that second 50.
Well, Alia Atkinson, her first time in the pool tonight, she should be fresh as a daisy, and she's going to turn with a decent lead, not far off a second lead in front of Brie Larson. They are going very, very rapid here. Can she possibly keep it up? It's the Jamaican Atkinson in 5, leading from Larson in 4, who's trying to chase it down. Is she going to get there?
Atkinson holding her stroke rate really high. We just keep an eye on those hips. When they start to drop, that's when you're in trouble. But she looks like she's got an unassailable lead. Larson is definitely coming back, but it looks like Atkinson's going to hold on. Can she dip into that 106? She was certainly fast enough at the turn.
So it's Atkinson. She's tying up, and is she going to get there? Oh, I don't think she did. She did just. My word, that was closer. It looks a lot closer to the naked eye than the clock says. 107.35. They had adjusted that time for Brie Larson. I don't know, I didn't look right. It looked bizarrely like she was a second in front. She's only 0.2 of a second behind Brie Larson, but 107.55. She'll be disappointed without the American, you have to say.
Yeah, I think both of those girls were looking for a 106. They know that to be competitive next year, they need to be swimming those kind of times now, because you know the best swimmers in the world are going 104s and 105s.
Now explain to us what happened with that official time in there, because I thought that was real touch and go, literally. And then the times initially came up with Atkinson at 107.35 and Brie Larson 108 plus.
Yeah, so they have a backup timing system here. They obviously the yellow touchpads are used. When the swimmers touch that, the timing comes up on the board.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the time races tonight
Pre-order now. Exclusive offers for a limited time only.
Thousands have joined us in celebrating Singapore's culture of care at our last 3 SG Cares events. So don't miss the rousing climax at our finale event as we create the last special community mural to pledge our support towards building a more caring and inclusive home for all. Get ready for a fun-filled day as we reflect on our past and continue to play our part to give and care. Catch appearances by some of your favorite artists. See you at the SG Cares finale event at our Tampines Hub on 17th August.
tomorrow, don't we? How are you feeling heading into that one?
Pretty good. Everybody's stepping it up coming to the end of the tournament, so got to put some more points on the board.
Well, I'm rooting for you, and I know you like the quick ones anyway, so we'll see how you do tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, she's amazing. I love her, you love her. It's Alia Atkinson.
She's a real crowd favourite, isn't she?
She is. She's a lovely girl. All the swimmers like her. The coaches love her. She's brilliant with the local swimmers. She's always giving them little waves, high-fiving. In fact, little anecdote last year when one of the swimmers that I was coaching at the World Cup had a bit of a disaster in the heats and was crying after the heats, and Ali went up to her and consoled her. Now, you know, this is a world-class swimmer who's got medals from all sorts of meets, is going up to a 14-year-old swimmer who's in tears and just, you know, consoling her. So a real class act.
So men's 200 metre butterfly is next. And to be fair, there will be those that say there are lots of big names missing in these World Cup races, but the competition is so fierce. I mean, we had a very one-sided 1500 metre freestyle, but other than that, we've had excitement, we've had turn-ups. The races have been close.
They certainly have. In the majority of races, there's between 1 and 3 real world-class swimmers, and then the remainder of the swimmers are just working towards that, and that's obviously a great opportunity for them to race against those swimmers of a slightly higher caliber. And then, you know, you've got a couple of races like the 1500 freestyle and this upcoming 200 butterfly, where the levels may be a slightly below, but it's still going to be really exciting because the swimmers are very close.
Big support for the Singaporean athletes here in the crowd tonight, and also the athletes from across Southeast Asia who are being supported in strong numbers. The Australians have a lot of support here, and Grant Irvin, who won 100 metres fly last night, is now in the world's top 10, so he's clearly got big plans with Tokyo in mind.
Absolutely, it'll be very interesting to see what he drops in this 200 butterfly. The times from the heats this morning, a little bit on the sluggish side, but those guys obviously did what they needed to do to get into the final, minimising the energy expenditure, so we should be looking for these guys to drop well under the 2-minute barrier.
To put that into perspective, some of these World Cup records are impressive, but then when you look at the actual world records, I mean, some of them are just mind-blowing. The world record in the 200 metre butterfly set by Bulgarian Christoph Milak, 150.73, and that's the best part of 3.5 seconds, over 3.5 seconds quicker than the World Cup record. Is that just come down to peak performance is all about the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, that was performed just a month ago at the World Championships. It was possibly the biggest surprise of the whole competition, along with the American backstroker, female backstroker. Didn't come out of nowhere because he's a world-class swimmer, but he really dropped a bomb. Broke Michael Phelps's long-standing 200 butterfly world record. That was incredibly exciting. He's put himself in the foreground for that 200 fly for next year.
Well, Grant Irvin impressed yesterday in the 100 fly. Can he do the same in the 200? It's Hu of Chinese Taipei in 1, Cosette of New Zealand in 2, Tia in 3, Brown of Australia in 4, Navapat of Thailand in 5, Grant Irvin in Australia, all eyes on him in 6, Bangan of Indonesia in 7, and Wang of Chinese Taipei in 8. It'll be 4 lengths of the pool here at the OCBC Aquatic Centre. The men's 200 fly in the 2019 FINA Swimming World Cup Singapore leg, and away they go. And it's a very fast start in lane number 6 by Grant Irvin, showing that 100-metre pace early on here.
Absolutely. I spoke a little bit last night about his need to just take it to the next level if he's going to be competitive next year at the Olympic Games. He has competed at the Olympic Games before and just made it to the semi-finals, so if he is one of making that Australian Olympic team and make finals and getting towards medaling places, he's going to be one to drop a little bit of time. We'll see what he can do in this 200 butterfly this evening.
Well, it's been a front swimmers pool, I'm trying to recall so far tonight. I don't seem to remember too many of the leaders being reeled back in, including the Jamaican Atkinson, but that was over 100 metres in the last race. This one is, of course, still got over 100 metres to go, but he's looking strong here, is Grant Irvin. But crucially, maybe, Navapat the Thai just sticking close enough to him, about just over a body length behind now, the Thai in second.
Yeah, more or less going to form at the moment. As we said, Grant finished in a semi-final position in Rio in the 200 butterfly. Navapat has swum at Asian Championships, so a very strong swimmer. Interestingly, the battle for second place starting to come together a little bit, but Grant Irvin still with a fairly commanding lead at this stage.
Yes, Nick Brown is piling on the pressure now, and he's actually usurped Navapat of Thailand for second, but can he get near his fellow Aussie Grant Irvin? Grant Irvin now with a decent lead, but I'll tell you something, Nick Brown, he may have started slowly, but he's finishing quickly. He's got 60 metres to rid his countryman in. Can he do it?
Sure did. Grant Irvin splitting that third 50, quite a big drop from his second 50, so he's clearly tiring. Could just have enough to hold on. It's very tight.
He's still got a lead here, Grant Irvin. He won the 100 metres last night. Is he going to be the 200 double? I think he's just hanging on, and hang on he does, despite the best efforts of Nick Brown in second, and fourth, third. A good swim in the end by Navapat of Thailand. He did hang on for third, with Cosetta New Zealand in fourth, and Tia of Malaysia in fifth.
Yeah, decent swims there from the two Australian boys. That's obviously really nice for them to be pushing each other into next year. If they can get down to the 154 mark and that 200 butterfly, that starts to become competitive, making finals at Olympics and World Championships. So obviously battling each other domestically always helps, and a 156 and a 157 at this late stage in the swimming season, I'm sure they'll be quite content with that.
So yet another gold medal for the Aussies. They had 5 last night. I'm trying to recall they've had at least 3 tonight. So they'll be surely going past double digits before this 3-day meet is over. Remember, more heats tomorrow morning, and then the final session of action tomorrow night here. Get down to the OCBC Aquatic Centre if you can to support world-class sport and world-class swimming here in the Lion City State. John is standing by to try and get a word with Grant Irvin. And while we wait for that, are you looking forward to the one event we have left tonight, which of course is the 4x1 mixed freestyle? Are you a fan of the mixed relays?
Yeah, the nice thing about that is it gives the countries who maybe don't have quite as much depth in one gender a little chance to compete. Obviously the Americans and the Australians are great single gender, but some of the smaller countries gives them an opportunity.
Give it up for him. The main man, legend. Well, Grant, that looked like a tough race, but you led from the start. Tactics obviously big on the 200. Was that your plan going in?
Yeah, it was. I did it in China, so I tried to do it here again, but a little bit more than China.
And I mean, obviously, you know, outside sort of lane, not in the middle like you like to be. How was that, coming down that final 50?
I would have rather been in lane 1. I wouldn't have to swim to the side of the wall this far.
I love it. Well, look, I tell you what, you're grabbing, he's catching his breath, he's blowing, so let's let him go swim down. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the legend that is Grant Irvin.
Oh, thank you.
Another win for Grant Irvin. A nice round of applause, and some Aussies in the crowd loving what they're seeing from the Aussie swimmers who've been in fine form. In terms of different individual winners, I'm trying to go through them. They've had Mitch Larkin, Molly Barrett, Emily Seabow, now Grant Irvin. I'm pretty missing one out there, at least 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really strong team that they bring to Singapore every year. And as we can see from the visual, they are in lane 4, the middle lane, the fastest qualifiers for that mixed 4x1 freestyle relay that we're just about to have.
So, the 4x100 metre freestyle, 4 of them with 2 legs each, and someone I know who's got a great passion for swimming, Kristen, is involved at club level here and school level here in Singapore. How much is it going to mean to some of these youngsters here, UWC East in Vision?
Oh, you can't even believe, I mean, even just having the opportunity to be in the call room with those swimmers. So what we don't see before the guys come on screen is they have to go into this call room 15 minutes before their race, be prepared, sit in a chair, be with their own thoughts, you know. Being in those conditions that they're not accustomed to with some of the fastest swimmers in the world is such a great experience. And as I said before, those seasoned World Cup swimmers like Ali Atkinson, Kate Campbell, Mitch Larkin, Emily Seebohm, Vladimir Ratsov, those guys are just brilliant with the younger swimmers. I've seen them in action, I've seen them with the younger swimmers. They're so welcoming, they're so accommodating, and they just make this event worthwhile hosting in Singapore.
And of course, as you'd expect, lots of support for all these teams. I mean, again, we're talking about 400 metres in total. What are you expecting the winning distances? Is there enough class and quality in some of these local swimmers here in Singapore to keep tabs with the USA and Australia, or is it just too much to ask? Are they really going to be swimming against shadows?
It's a bit too much to ask. Obviously the clubs and some of the Singaporean teams, they will have 1 or 2 exceptional swimmers, but that depth is just going to be lacking a little bit. You know, that Australian team, they've got Kate Campbell, who is the second fastest 100 freestyler long course in history, the best relay female 100 freestyler in history. You got Mitch Larkin, who's a world champion. You got Emily Seebohm, who's a world champion. You got 3 world champions in that team.
And the fact they've all won gold medals already here in Singapore, and now they're combining forces. We talked about the Australian strength in depth, and that clearly is evident here. The Americans and Australians, I mean, you mentioned what was the difference in the qualifying times, about 1.2 seconds between them. Who do you make favourites going into this?
The Australians for sure are favourites. With that level of calibre, the three world championships, and then, you know, they're arguably their weak leg has been a Commonwealth champion in the past, so it's an incredibly strong team.
So it's our 12th and final of the night here on Friday in Singapore at the OCBC Aquatic Centre. 12 more finals to come tomorrow, but for the next 4 minutes we'll be focusing on this. UWC East in 1. Nexus in 2, Singapore in 3, Australia in 4, USA 5, China in 6, Taipei in 7, and APSC in 8. And Singapore's reaction time was the best, but very early on, it's going to be an early lead for the United States of America.
Yeah, Michael Andrew, one of the stars of the World Cup Series, unsurprisingly taking it out fastest, but a really great opportunity from Chua in lane 3 from Singapore, one of the strongest 100 freestylers in Singapore, with the opportunity to race some of the best swimmers in the world.
Yeah, this is really impressive as well from the Chinese lead-off man, Juan Cao. And there's not much between the top 4 here. What an impressive and exciting start. How are the changeovers going to go now? Because it was a very strong finish to his first leg from Thomas Fraser Holmes, and it's only just the United States of America leading. But I tell you what, this is closer than I thought it was going to be.
It is, and probably the nicest thing about this race, we've got 2 separate races going on. We've got the national teams in the middle, and we've got more of the club-based things going on in the outsides. They're obviously racing against each other. So close between Australia and America at the moment, unsurprisingly.
But it's the Americans still just edging them, but there's hardly anything in it. What, 0.8 of a second at the moment? 0.08 of a second, I should say. And an interesting battle on third. And as you say, the other 4 club teams from Singapore shaking it down as well. Is this the moment where Australia take over with Mitchell Larkin finishing his 100 really strong? Mitchell Larkin, I think, is going to present a lead in this first leg that Emily Seebohm will now try and extend.
Yeah, nice swim from Mitch Larkin there, splitting a 49 along with Giles Smith. So solid enough, especially because Mitch Larkin is obviously a backstroke and medley swimmer. We move on to Emily Seebohm for Australia. Obviously we watched her in the backstroke earlier, so more known as a backstroker, and then Bria Larson for the States as a breaststroker. So
yeah, well, Brie Larson had a disappointing breaststroke earlier on today, didn't she? Just edged out in the 100 metres. but she's doing her best to try and reel in a determined Emily Seebohm, who picked up a gold medal earlier today, to atone for her disappointment from yesterday. And if anything, Seebohm is extending this Australian lead. You called it. They're going to have a decent-sized lead here going into the fourth leg.
Well, I'll tell you what, Singapore having an absolute blinder here. They're moving towards second place with one swimmer to go, and that would be a great result for them.
And the anchor leg for Singapore going to be swum by Ting Wen Kwa. And Ting Wen Kwa, can she possibly steal silver? I think, realistically, Kate Campbell is far too far ahead for the Australians. But Singapore, never mind second, they're actually catching on Kate Campbell. They're in the silver medal at the moment. They've got to keep an eye on the Chinese swimmer as well. America have faded very badly out of this.
Yeah, they have Erica Sullivan just not quite been able to hang on to the other three girls. Ting Wen in lane 3. We mentioned it earlier, she's had a great year. She's been just dipping into that 54-second barrier for the 100 freestyle, so we can see what her split is. Kate Campbell, the greatest female 100 freestyle relay swimmer ever.
Well, the Aussie's going to win this, but there's an incredible battle for second. Kwa Ting Wen in second at the moment. I think she's going to hold off the Chinese Yu Fai Zhang, and it's going to be silver for Singapore. And listen to the reaction. Australia take gold, Singapore second, the People's Republic of China in third.
Really nice way for the crowd to finish off their evening there with a Singaporean silver medal there.
And of course, you mentioned this in the preamble to this final, Chris, the fact that this does give some of the nations without that incredible strength and depth a chance to compete on the main stage. So how far can Singapore go in this event, do you think?
Well, I mean, with those splits, very, very strong. Ting Wen splitting 54.5, she'll be really happy with that. Anytime she gets into the 54-second mark is a really strong swim, especially at this stage of the season. You know, they've still got a bit to go to compete with the powerhouses of swimming. Australia obviously dominant there, and that wasn't their absolute strongest team. America, when you get to the World Championships and Olympic Games, are a force to be reckoned with as well. So certainly a step in the right direction for Singapore. Very, very strong splits, especially from the girls there. So they'll be very happy with that to pick up the silver medal.
So I think we're going to hear from Australia and Singapore here. John Mason's down poolside.
I tell you what, fastest in the pool and the best moves in Singapore's this man. Go on, Tommy. Love it. Guys, always looks like so much fun out there. I'm actually jealous. How was that, Em?
Oh, you can join us next time.
Next time, I don't know whether you'd have the gold if I did. Now, just quickly, because we're going to bring these guys in. Kate, I know you're leaving us tomorrow. Not racing. How's the tour been for you, getting back in the pool with these guys?
Such a great way to finish what's been an awesome 3 weeks, and couldn't have asked to do it with a bunch of better people. And a little bit sad that I'm leaving a day early tomorrow, but this time tomorrow I'm going to be asleep in my own bed, so I feel like the regret isn't that much.
I know, well, we're going to miss you, and I'm kind of jealous. Ladies and gentlemen, they're awesome. Give it up for Team Australia. Woo. All right, you guys get out. Thanks. Come on in. Come on in, you did yourselves proud and your country. Squeeze on down, squeeze on down. Right, first of all, let's start with the relay. How was that for you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I wear glasses and I couldn't see anything. And I know we jumped in third, so I thought that's what we finished in, but everyone's doing this. I guess we're second.
That's pretty awesome. And I mean, was it difficult to sort of gauge the order? Obviously, a 4x1, lots of strategy, lots of tactics. Did you kind of know that was coming?
Yeah, we kind of put like the guys in front and the girls behind. But honestly, I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for coming on the show for us today. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. Yeah.
We love it. That was going to be my next question, a message for all the fans, but you've done my job for me. We love it. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your silver medalists. Home crowd, home country is Team Singapore.
Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong will be delivering his National Day rally speech at the Institute of Technical Education this Sunday. The speech will be telecast live at 6:45 p.m. Mr. Lee will be speaking in Malay, then in Mandarin. He will proceed to deliver his English speech at 8:15 p.m. You can also watch the rally online. Hear the coverage live on CNA 938.
Muscle aches and pains? Get Tiger Balm Plasters, made with unique herbal formulation. Only Tiger Balm offers warm, soothing relief with real raw power.
Boss calling for overtime again? Time to get away! Save up to 30% on select hotels on mobile. And manage your reservations flexibly. The Expedia app is just that easy.
Expedia. Well, how about this for a carnival atmosphere? The Yakult mascot leading the drumming band, and what a way to introduce our parade of the 6 remaining champions that we've yet to salute.
Absolutely, these guys are going to enjoy this. We saw earlier quite a few of the guys in the Parade of Champions having to run off to prepare for another swim. Obviously they don't have that now, so they'll be able to relax a little bit, enjoy the parade, then they'll recover a little bit and get back for some dinner, ready for another day tomorrow.
Of course, you mentioned this on the broadcast with Breaststroke yesterday, but that is something you've got to bear in mind. I mean, it's not over for these guys yet. The vast majority of them will have swims in the morning. It's a very quick turnaround, bearing in mind Friday into Saturday, they're going into their 3rd day of competition.
For sure it's tiring. These guys are professional. They obviously train to handle that level of workload. We saw a fair few examples this evening of swimmers coming back multiple swims where you think they're going to fatigue and they still finish strong. Jakobosh in the 200 freestyle. We saw multiple swimmers having three finals this evening and swimming really fast in all 3. So, you know, these guys train for that, they prepare for that, they know what their schedule is going to be like, they know what time they have to wake up, they know what their nutrition is going to be like. But yeah, it's definitely tiring. They're not going to get home until 11 o'clock tonight probably.
We had 12 finals tonight. We'll have 12 for you tomorrow night as well, including the men's 400 metre medley final, the women's 800 metre freestyle final, the women's 100 metre butterfly final, the men's fly 50, the women's backstroke 200, the men's backstroke 100, the women's 50 metre breaststroke, the men's 200 metre breaststroke, the women's 100 metre freestyle, the men's 200 metre freestyle, the women's medley over 200 metres final, and a real interesting one because it's one of those new Olympic events for Tokyo next year, the mixed medley 4x1, and bearing in mind the great drama we saw in the 4x1 mixed freestyle really here tonight, that's going to be on the highlight reel of many people tomorrow, the mixed medley.
Absolutely, it'll be interesting to see what Singapore can dish out in that mixed medley relay. Obviously 2 very strong female and 2 very strong male swimmers required to have a strong team there. I don't see any reason why Singapore can't be aiming for the podium again after tonight's performance.
Makes you wonder what might have been if Joseph Schooling had decided to swim in the relays at this Singapore leg.
That's absolutely true.
So we await the final. I'm just trying to do the maths. 6 events, 3 medalists in each event, 18 medalists to come in. There'll be no Joseph Schooling, unfortunately. He finished 4th, but as we mentioned during that race, and as he mentioned in the build-up, expectations are low, so the fact he qualified with the top seeding maybe got people a little carried away. It was all about his time, and with that time just a shade over 2 minutes in the 200 metre individual medley, do you think there's a chance he can still be competitive at the Olympics, or is there still a long way to go before we start even talking about that?
I think we've got to assume that he's swimming that 200 medley as more of a training focus for the 100 butterfly. And he might even be considering the 200 butterfly a little bit. I think after the World Championships he was a little bit disappointed with how he finished his race, so he wants to work on that endurance in the back end, and there's really not any better way to do that than taking up some medley swimming.
So here we go then with our Parade of Champions. We'll see the bronze medalists, of course, first, all 6 of them from our final 6 events. Starting with that incredible men's 50 metre breaststroke won by Italy's Martinenghi. And what I'd love to see about this, as I mentioned it already, the vast majority of the crowd are hanging around for these ceremonies, and that's brilliant. Obviously we have a silver medal to give to Singapore. Only their 3rd medal, I think, so far, Singapore, and it's come as a silver.
Well, that's a nice thing, and because it's a relay, there's four swimmers get a medal there, so they've got that. They've earned that momentum.
You didn't pull me up. It wasn't 18 medalists, was it? It's 18 plus another 27, I make it now.
Yeah.
27 in total. And what's amazing, when you consider how dedicated all these swimmers are, just how hard it is, you know, I'm only second guessing, but you can tell me, I'm sure, you can spend hours telling me the sacrifices you made, the camaraderie and the attitude of the vast majority of the swimmers is so upbeat. They're such good ambassadors for their sport, and there doesn't really seem to be too much nastiness under the surface that you might see in some other sports. Or am I being terribly naive?
No, in general, it's a really welcoming, fun sport. We did witness a few little things at the World Championships where swimmers boycotting medal presentations because they weren't very happy with some of the swimmers that were allowed to compete after some doping bans. But certainly at the World Cup meets, where there's a little bit more of a carnival atmosphere, the swimmers love it. You know, they obviously want to win, they want to post best times, they want to get those cash prizes. But you know, Kate Campbell, I think it was, spoke yesterday about some of the benefits of the World Cup circuit, and you know, they went to see Aladdin at Marina Bay Sands, for example, in Singapore, and went tobogganing in Japan, for example. So, you know, they enjoy this circuit as well, and they know that the World Cup series is a benefit to them as much as they are a benefit to the series. So everyone enjoys it, and I think they see the merits of it.
So here's the silver medalist from the men's 50-metre breaststroke, the former world record holder, who, I mean, again, when you look at, you talked about the upper body strength of those 50-metre swimmers. He is seriously built, that man, isn't he?
He's a tank. He's an absolute tank. I dread to think what he bench presses. You know, generally speaking, swimmers are, you know, they're as strong as they need to be. They're strong enough to move their own bodies. They usually have fairly desirable physiques. Yeah, Bria Larsson's a tank as well. We were talking about that last night.
Again, a smile on her face, but
yeah, she clearly goes to the gym, doesn't she?
Yeah, she certainly does. But in terms of swimmers that will be disappointed tonight, would Bria Larsson be one? Disappointing in the relay, and more importantly, disappointing in her race, where she's clearly got designs on trying to establish a run to make the US Olympic team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she was quite open about the fact that her target time here was 1 minute and 6. She didn't quite manage to get that, so she'll go back to the coach and the race analysis and see where she needs to improve.
These are the four Singaporeans that did so brilliantly in the 4x1 mixed freestyle relay. Chao Yi, Pang Sheng, Sherilyn Yeo and Kwa Ting Wen will be rightly delighted with their achievement, bearing in mind they swam the Chinese and the Americans out of a medal, only found the Australians too strong. A warm round of applause here for the silver medalists.
Yeah, really strong performance for the Singaporean swimmers there. As I said, especially the girls in the team there. They were particularly good relative to their own best times. Darren Chu has obviously been under 50 seconds before, so leading off in 50, he'll be looking to try and drop that going forward. But the two girls, especially Kwa Ting Wen, splitting 55.0 and 54.5, they'll be very happy with those performances, and it was really those two girls that took them through to that silver medal.
What about Holly Barrett, her second big win, and both of them against the odds, having picked up gold in the women's backstroke yesterday. She managed to pick it up in the women's fly today. She has really upset the apple cart with those two wins.
She has. She's really been on form in those 50-metre events. I mean, obviously some big technical differences between the strokes, but the one thing that is common across the butterfly and the backstroke is that underwater, and she's clearly got those sprint muscles working and that underwater firing, because you know, to win the 50 backstroke and the 50 butterfly is no mean feat with the level of competition that she's got here.
Ali Atkinson, a winner in the 100-metre breaststroke, and we saw previously, didn't we, Vladimir Morozov. What can you say about him? 3 golds and 3 World Cup records to boot, including 2 tonight.
Yeah, really strong performance from Vlad Morozov tonight. That'll obviously do him wonders for his World Cup point standings as well. We'll have to wait and see after tomorrow who gets those bonus points for the individual strongest swim, but Morozov's got to be in a good standing for the men. The women is going to be much closer. I have no idea right now who's going to pick up the bonus 24 points for getting the strongest individual swim.
Yeah, Hozu and Kate Campbell have been in hot competition for the women's title. In the men's title, Morozov and Mitch Larkin, who had an opportunity to get more points on the board but decided not to swim in that 50-metre race, leading himself the individual medley over 200 metres.
He did, and you know, points-wise, possibly a good decision. Obviously won the 200 IM. Based on the times we saw in the 50 backstroke, maybe less likely that he would have finished atop the podium in that 50 backstroke, especially with that bomb that Vladimir Rotsov dropped. So with the swimmers only gaining points in their best 3 results from the weekend, you know, these guys who are aiming for cluster prize money, they're being selective with their events because they're getting points for their best 3.
Do you see that? 6 gold medalists. Vladimir Morozov, of course, has got 2. Did I miss out any other 2-time winners there? They're taking the salute of the crowd. And, well, again, I'll just ask you one more time, because the great thing about this World Cup racing, we've just been talking to each other during one of the breaks there when John was talking. It just moves so quickly. Very quickly, your highlight for tomorrow, the race to watch tomorrow.
Well, I was going to say the 100 freestyle for women, but Kate Campbell just alluded to the fact that she's not going to be here, so probably has to be 200 freestyle men. 200
freestyle. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, the OCBC Aquatic Centre. The night very much belonging to another 2 World Cup records for Vladimir Morozov. From Chris, myself and the whole production team here in Singapore, have a very good night and we'll see you tomorrow.